Kirby's Dream Land is one of the simplest platformers I've ever played, and yet I still enjoyed it thoroughly. Like I mentioned in my Kirby's Adventure video, this game came out in 1992 and was the first Kirby game in general. Speaking of which, I still find it very weird that this series started out on the Game Boy. I mean, I feel like every other big Game Boy game was just a worse version of what was on home consoles, but this one came first in the Kirby series. This game is much simpler than the later Kirby titles, but that makes sense, so I'm not gonna slight it for that. There are only 5 levels, which means this game goes by very quickly. And that's probably for the best, because if there were any more, this would get really boring really fast. Because they were created for Kirby's Adventure, there are no copy abilities in this game. And part of me feels like it's extremely unfair to hold that against it, but on the other hand, copy abilities are kind of my favorite thing about the series. To be fair to this game though, Kirby's moveset in his basic form hasn't changed at all in 30 years, and it's still very fleshed out and easy to understand. You can still jump, you can still inflate yourself, you can still suck people in and spit them out or swallow them. The only real difference is you don't get superpowers from it yet. Other than that, it's business as usual pretty much. You walk from left to right and eat anything that gets in your way. The graphics are actually pretty nice and show a lot of detail despite the monochrome look. It's fun seeing all the landscapes and patterns in the background that the later games would dramatically improve upon. Every level has a mini-boss and a real boss. In level 1, the mini-boss is Poppy Bro Sr., who's somehow even easier than usual. He just throws bombs, and you hit the suck button and spit them back, and there's absolutely nothing else to it. Similar to the other Kirby games, it's really easy. I only died about 3 times, and I never got a game over. That's one thing I can respect the Kirby games a lot for. They're not meant to be grueling challenges, they're just fun, charming little platformers that you can relax to and you don't have to think about it all. One thing that I cannot praise enough about this game is its music. This game's music is so perfect and fitting that they basically never changed it over the years. My favorites are definitely the World 1 music and the King Dedede theme. The series is really all about atmosphere, and this game nails it even with the limited colors and graphics. There's so much detail and care and creativity put into every little thing that adds so much to the experience. My favorite examples of this have to be the animations on the title screen and on the level screens. Like, they didn't have to do any of this, but they did, and the game is so much better for it. The first boss of the game is, as usual, Wispy Woods, and he is once again a complete and utter joke. He has exactly 2 attacks, dropping apples and spitting wind. Both attacks are very easy to dodge, but even if you stand completely still and let him hit you, he'll be dead in about 20 seconds. Anyway, after you beat him up and make him cry and take his lunch money, Kirby does his victory dance. I've always thought it was weird that Kirby only uses his powers of mitosis to dance, but I digress. Level 2 is Castle Lololo, or Castle Lololo. I'm not sure, moving on. This level is a maze level, and it's probably the most intricate that this game ever gets with its level design. Anyway, it's here that I learned that instead of copy abilities, you just have normal power-ups you can use. The first one I find is Mike, which works exactly the same as it does in the other games. I actually got lost in this level, and I'm sure there's a ton of it that I didn't find. I can appreciate the ambition, but it was a little annoying to actually play. Then there was an underwater part, and you can't attack underwater, which was a little unnerving. Then after that I find one of those lollipops that works like a Starman from Mario. I've always thought it was kind of weird how rare these things are, since this was the only one I found in this game. It's a shame that they're so uncommon, since I really enjoyed their music and the fact that you can just run through stuff with zero regard for your own safety with it. The mini-boss of level 2 is this thing, which goes through a bunch of doors and throws boxes at you. I didn't really like this one. It just kind of felt like I was waiting for him to pop through the right door so that I could hit him. Later on, I find another power-up, the Spicy Curry, which gives you fire breath. That's kinda cute, I like that. The boss of level 2 is unfortunately just 2 of the mini-boss again. And unfortunately, it's even worse here because it's so cramped and awkward and it's really hard to avoid them and it takes forever. Level 3 is the Float Islands, and surprise surprise, it's a beach level. This was actually the hardest level in the game to me, specifically because of the exploding coconuts. At the end of this level, you go inside a ship and then go on a star and get shot into a whale's blowhole, which then transports you up to heaven. Those are all things that actually happen in this level, I'm not joking. At the end of the level, you get to pick up a leaf, which makes you able to blow hot air, I guess. Then you fight what appears to be a zeppelin with a cannon attached to it, which takes a ton of hits to kill. This is somehow not the only platform Game Boy game I've played that turns into a 2D shooter. Super Mario Land did exactly the same thing, and it's really weirding me out. As for this game though, I really like this fight. I think it adds a lot in terms of variety, and it's a nice break from the platforming. Level 4 is Bubbly Clouds, which makes sense considering that I got shot up to heaven in level 3. I like this level, it looks nice. It really weirded me out when there was a Waddle Doo at the start and I ate him and I didn't get the beam power up. This level also had those really weird things I don't like that turn evil and explode when you suck them in. I found them creepy ever since I played Return to Dreamland on the Wii as a kid. I don't like them. The mini-boss is this thing, which shoots cannon fire from down below and rains Waddle Doos. I died once fighting it, but once I figured out the safe spots where you can hide, I was fine. The real boss is the same mini-boss, except it grows a cloud around it and gains laser powers. You fight it exactly the same way with the Waddle Doos, except its pattern actually makes it a lot easier to fight the second time around. The fifth and final level is Mount DDD, where you fight the main man himself. Before you get to him, however, there's a Mega Man-style boss rush mode. There are platforming bits before you get to the bosses, but they're pretty easy. The one weird thing I noticed about all this is that there are other Kirbys that act as the keys to the bosses. Is this supposed to be symbolism of how to accept your true self or something? No, that's stupid. Moving on. This section would be pretty hard if the game didn't save your progress with the bosses. I died once here on the third boss, and then I just continued as normal, like nothing happened. After those guys is the king himself, who's actually a pretty good challenge. To beat him, you have to suck up his stars that he puts out whenever he swings his hammer or jumps in the air. They last for a very short time though, so this is pretty difficult. Combine that with the fact that he takes 10 hits to kill, and you have a really good endurance test boss fight. He has a pretty varied moveset for a Game Boy boss, and an awesome theme. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think he's actually a way better boss than Bowser, Medusa, Ganon, or Mother Brain. All you do in the Bowser fights in the first game is just jump over him. Ganon is super easy compared to everything else in his game, and Medusa and Mother Brain are just walls. DDD is an actual challenge, and an adversary who pushes you to the limit. Anyway, after you beat him, he gets launched off into space, and then Kirby turns into a balloon and carries his castle off into the sunset. This is the greatest video game ending ever. Why does no one ever talk about it? I mean, this is just incredible. I have no words. Kirby's Dream Land is a really, really good game. It would get a pretty high ranking on my NES list, but the fact that it's a Game Boy game makes it so much more impressive. Sure, there are no copy abilities, but man, it doesn't matter. This is just such a good time all around. Anyway, 8 out of 10, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Like and subscribe. Bye!